and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 209 are open. This week on the show, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch OLED and putting our thoughts out there about the new system. Metroid Prime Dread is out. Sora has been announced for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and much more. To talk all about that is my good friend, Bryce Dewitt.
Oh, hey, mate.
How you going, man?
Yeah, good. I'm sitting behind you. It's elating.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, not too bad. Just it's a bit of a reach this week to like put the music down, so I had to just lean across him, and he had to smell my armpit and just all that.
Got a good old sniff.
I did have a shower though, Bryce, so it should be all right.
Oh, you're so kind of thoughtful.
I am very thoughtful.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot's going on this week, Bryce, as far as Nintendo stuff goes on, and it might be even the busiest week of the year, maybe, as far as stuff that's come out. Just like brand new system, new Metroid game, Final Smash character's been announced. So yeah, we've got a fair bit to talk about.
Final Smash characters this week, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes out on the 18th, Sora.
So Monday.
Yeah, so next
week.
Next Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus.
Jesus.
All
right. So let's start off the show with our Guru Geek Out, where we talk about stuff that just we enjoyed throughout the week, and maybe some stuff that made us think a little bit. Because certainly this week something made me think. It was a bit weird circumstance that Bryce and I found ourselves in. But the first one is just PAX Radio. This weekend, PAX Australia held PAX Online. It's basically just like a Discord server with a bunch of panels going on. There's Jackbox Party Pack. People could jump in with voice chat. It was really cool. It's sort of a really interesting imagination sort of used to bring it to the online space. And Brendan White and the team at Audio Technica actually did PAX Radio, where they organised a bunch of content creators doing their podcasts to be aired live on their thingamajig. And last week's episode of ours was on there, which we really do appreciate being on. And Bryce, I won a microphone through answering a question. And
that's right. Yeah,
I was really nervous because I was just listening to it while I was sitting at my desk here. And Brendan's like, "All right, time to win a prize. Let's see how we can go." Then it does like the sound. I'm like, "Oh, it sounds like something from Mario." And at first, I put my hand up in the Discord channel, and I say Wriggler from Mario 64. I'm like, I really don't know. I can't remember exactly what Wriggler sounds like in Mario 64. It's been a few years. I didn't get to that point in the 3D collection when I played through it on Switch. So I'm like, he's like, no, not right. So he said, "Oh, well, we'll ask someone else. And if you can think of something else, come back." And someone else comes up, gets it wrong. I'm like, and he plays it again. I'm like, oh, I think it is definitely Mario. And he gave us a really big hint. He says, "You're on the right track." I'm like, all right. So yeah, Mario Kart 64. And one of the first things that came to my head was just like Koopa. I'm thinking now, just like the Koopa isn't in Mario 64, but his items are. That's a red shell. So it was the first like 1 second of a red shell being fired. And like, it's a pretty obvious sound, but just like the very first snippet isn't so obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah. Won a microphone from Audio Technica, which very cool.
Very good.
Very cool.
Very good, my friend.
So yeah, really enjoyed that with PAX Radio. And something that happened to us yesterday, Bryce, which isn't as fun. And
yeah,
this is going somewhere, to a positive place. This isn't just
yeah.
So yesterday I took my grandma out to lunch, and she ended up having low blood pressure and passing out. We called the ambulance. And they came and got her. We went to the hospital, spent most of the day in the hospital, just sitting by her side. And she was fine. She got to the hospital. She's like, "Yeah, I'm good now." But I wasn't so good after lunch. And it turned out the ambulance driver just basically explained to us, like, after a big meal, it can sort of like trigger a nerve, which lowers blood pressure and just goes down from there. So it's not, and it's happened to her quite a few times. This isn't like
it's the common
like a random thing.
Yeah.
She's 88, so she's getting, pretty old.
Yeah.
Pretty old.
Yeah.
And all that. So, but the weird thing is, so I go in the ambulance. So I go with grandma. She gets put into a room. And they said, "Drew, you wait in the waiting room and, come in when we're ready. We're all set up." I'm like, no worries. So I'm sitting there on my phone, just going through Twitter. And Bryce's mum rocks up and says, "Hey, Drew, how you going?" I'm like, "Oh, how you going?" And she said, "Oh, well, my mum's actually in the same room as your grandma." So obviously Bryce's grandma. And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Same reason, same incident.
Same reason. Low blood pressure, passed out, called the ambulance.
Yep.
Same day, same room.
Yep.
So I'm in there with Bryce's mum, just catching up. I haven't seen her in a long time. So we had a bit of a catch up, and she asked about the baby next year and all that. I'm like, yeah, very excited and all that, and did all that. And just random.
Yeah, very strange. But they're okay. That's what matters.
They're okay. Yeah. So that's why it's in the Guru Geek Out. I guess it's just like
odd coincidence,
and just appreciate our grandparents.
Yeah, that's right.
She's the last grandparent you've got as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So my grandma's the last grandparent I have as well, and just really love her.
Yeah.
Just need to make more time to see her. On a more consistent basis.
I get like that too, though. That is, and especially that is just life. Unfortunately, it does get busy, and I think they realize that. But yeah.
And what was real bad, because I could tell Grandma was looking forward to it and all that, and she just felt bad that it was like an inconvenience to me and Chantel.
No,
I'm like, don't worry about that.
It's no.
We're not there, but God damn it, just like, what an inconvenience.
Oh, bloody hell! I didn't want to be in the hospital today, Grandma.
Well, I guess I didn't want to be in the hospital, but obviously that's not a not a thing we're thinking about. But it makes me think as well, like what I really want to do for my Drew Story interview podcast is talk to her about what it was like growing up in this area when she was a kid. So I think she was born in 1938. Yeah, it must be 38. So, things were completely different back then. She used to go to school on horse and carriage, and it was like a major thing to get to, I guess, like the bigger town where we live, out where she lived in the sticks. So it's just really interesting. So I need to actually get that down into audio, because I really want my kids to hear that.
Yeah.
And just really use this medium of podcasting in like a positive way, instead of being like, because, our kids might listen to this episode one day and like, we're talking about the OLED Switch and all that. They're like, oh, well, don't have to worry about that too much. But just like real personal stories like that, I'm looking forward to getting into. So I got to make sure I get that recorded before, she can't. So, yeah.
Before she can't pass it on.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's fair enough. My grandmother, aka the same one.
AKA
the same one. The same one that was in hospital. She was from Scotland when she was 5. So a little bit of a story, I suppose, on her part. But like, this is something she won't ever talk to. She never talks to anybody about it, like ever. Right. But the basics of her story, and I know a lot more of it. Obviously, I won't divulge into it because that's her. Personal part of history that obviously she doesn't want it broadcasted. But she was an orphan. She was from Scotland, and her mother had passed away. Come over with her dad. Her dad remarried and put her and her brother in an orphanage. So she grew up in orphanages until she got older. And she had a lot of stories back from those times and stuff like that, where she doesn't remember too much about where she was born and sort of stuff like that. Just sort of really basic stuff. And she remembers sort of coming over, and then there was quite some time where she was sort of separated from her brother because she turned 18 and her brother was older, and she left and, never really looked back and all that stuff. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like a lot of these stories that you'll never get back again. And like, that's something I always remember. I did it for like a school report or something like that. I asked her about her past and sort of wrote about it. And that's something I'll always sort of hold in my memory too. It's a shame that, obviously some of it's probably a bit too painful for her to speak about, and that's fair enough. But I know that I'll always hold that memory, and I think it's great that, again, you can use this medium of podcasting, this medium of podcasting to sort of record that and keep it as a sort of reference. It's good.
Yeah, because even when, like, my parents, when I was born, I don't have that many photos of me necessarily, because everyone had to go to the shop and get it printed and all that. Whereas now you just got like a million on your phone. You'll be able to show our kids, which would just be nuts. Could you imagine having that many photos of you? It's probably actually a bad thing for the kids.
Yeah, well.
Having like every single like embarrassing thing, like, oh look, they're doing a poo in the hallway. I'll just get my phone out and record. That's in the bank for the 18th birthday.
Oh, I hate that too. I really hate that. I don't think I'll ever do it. Like I'll have things in there, but for stuff like that, I'll just like, I don't think I'll go that far. I know that there's people that do. They're just like, oh, look at what you did when you were a kid. And I'll just be like, oh, I don't even want to think of that. But yeah, no. I think memories like that are important, but there is definitely some that sort of like you sort of keep to yourself.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, there is always a TMI. Always. Yeah.
Don't share too many aspects of your kids' lives. Just the funny bits that other people will find funny and not cringe. Well, actually, no, cringe is pretty good too. And just also, while we're talking about things I enjoyed this week, which don't really fit into the actual episode itself, but the new Pokemon movie, Secret of the Jungle, came out starring Zarude, the brand new, well, sort of brand new mythical Pokemon.
Zarude.
We sort of just have access to that Pokemon now via a newsletter that Pokemon Company are shipping out if you actually sign up for it.
Yeah, if you could be bothered jumping around the stupid process. Yeah.
Which we haven't gotten. I've signed up for the newsletter. I've been signed up for it for years, but
you've never
nothing.
Gotten it. No.
Which is just unfortunate. But the movie's available on Netflix. Came out yesterday or the day before, which was really nice for us in Australia because it actually came out when it was meant to, unlike the actual series itself.
Yep.
There's a big month delay. There's months between we actually getting access to that series. But Bryce, overall, what do we reckon of the movie?
Oh, I thought it was good.
I did too.
I thought it was really good.
Liked it.
We had a light discussion about this before the show, but I really like sort of the more diverse look into Pokemon ecosystems. So in this case, it was Zarude, the jungle, and how the jungle operates and how the Pokemon operate within the jungle, and how humans interact with that. And I think that's I think it was super brilliant in that respect and regard. I think the characters were pretty well fleshed out for what they were, and I think like villain motivations were good, obviously. In sort of like probably a moralistic standpoint, without going in too much into spoilers, because I'd prefer people go see it themselves. I think
definitely,
yeah. I think the story behind Coco and Dada, aka the Zarude, with the I guess you call it a blanket, the pink blanket around his neck,
blanket cape
bandana,
thing. Neck bandana.
Yeah, whatever it is. I like their dynamic and I like their relationship, and I really enjoyed sort of seeing how this is a light spoiler, but it's the whole point of the movie, but it's about a kid growing up amongst Zarude. So it is interesting to see how a human sort of operates in that modus operandum. So that was really cool. I also like that there was sort of that lack of companionship on Ash's behalf, and it was rawly just Ash in there as well.
I agree. Yeah, that was a bit of a shock too, because
I thought Go would be in there, but no.
Yeah, it was just Ash just exploring, and Ash only had his one Pokemon as well. He got out. He actually got out a Pokeball at one point, but he never released anything from it. It was just Ash and Pikachu.
Yep.
And how those two characters actually fit in with the rest of the story and the new characters.
Yeah, and they didn't make him frontline everything, which was brilliant, and I loved that. I like Ash fine enough as protagonist. Obviously, he's been in that seat for a long time, but they didn't put so much focus on Ash that he become too important with the story.
Yeah, like it could have been anyone, and just someone helping Coco achieve what they wanted to achieve throughout the story.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And like Coco is just like a really lovable character, and I guess just talking about the Zarude as well, just off the bat, just how like Zarude, like he doesn't actually talk; he still talks in his own language, but just to convey it to the actual audience, so it's not just like noises and beeps and bops throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
They actually speak in English when like they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
But when they're talking to humans, it is very Zaru, Pokemon talk.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. I think that was a good touch, how they actually like have those as actually like just more, I guess, like emotional characters rather than just like, oh, that's an animal or
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
all right. And I mean, like that's the thing too, is like we're not averse to seeing, and we're not, strangers to seeing English speaking Pokemon in Pokemon movies. That's obviously a very common theme, but this is different in many a regard, because it's not like, oh, this Pokemon has psychic powers and can
Yeah.
talk human. It
Yeah.
is literally just like, in every sense, this Pokemon is just a Pokemon, and that's what it is, but you are listening to their conversations.
Yeah, and that's definitely a clutch that previous Pokemon movies have held on to dearly.
Yep.
Starting with Mewtwo in the very first movie, how it's like, oh, we can understand you. You're such an intelligent psychic being that you're just projecting this onto us. But then it's like Shaman. It's like, really, Shaman can talk through telepathy? I don't think so.
No. No, yeah, it's like, really?
Yeah. Even like some other ones, I think it was no, I don't think Giratina did, but there was some unusual ones where it's just like, no.
You kind of just like, it doesn't really need to be, it doesn't really need to be a point of it. It's like Lugia, for example, I suppose, was one of the older ones as well. And it's just like, oh, we have to insert a talking Pokemon here to explain what's going on. It's like, no, you don't really. If it's not pertinent to the story, then it's not really necessary. But with this, because Zarude was such a huge part of the ecosystem and like at the forefront of the story in raising this child knows only how to speak Zarude, I guess.
Yeah.
Speak in a Pokemon language, and like, and therefore it becomes a central factor point of the story. It's not just a shoe-in to try and bridge gaps. It is quite literally a very pertinent and important part to the story. So yeah, it was definitely a good change in terms of regards of that too.
Yeah. So definitely, if you have Netflix, which you probably do,
Yeah.
go and check it out.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
Like,
enjoyed it.
It's still a kids movie, but I reckon it's one that if you're a Pokemon fan, you'll like it. It's just like it's a nice tale.
I have more
told in the Pokemon world.
I have more appreciation for the Pokemon Zarude now than I ever did before too.
Yeah. And that's what these movies are great for, is just like giving more context to characters, because especially Zarude in Sword and Shield, it is very much a picture. And the Pokedex entry, it's from a jungle. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
There's no context there. And that's something the games really need to work on, because when it's just like, all right, sign up for our newsletter and you get a code, there's no context.
That's what I mean too, though, is like in terms of Zarude, like with other legendary Pokemon, there's always something to them, right? You know, you could say the same thing about everyone, every mythical Pokemon or legendary Pokemon that sort of comes into frame with Pokemon. It's just like, it is a picture with the description. It's like, it lives under the ocean or it lives in space.
Yeah.
But there's always a form of mysticism that sort of comes with those Pokemon, in terms of like, Jirachi is the Wishmaker, for example, or Shaman is. I had it there for a second. I lost it.
Do we need to Google this?
Oh, well, okay. They make a big deal about like Gardenia flowers and Shaman and stuff like that as well. Yeah. No, I can't really remember its exact title.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. And then, obviously Darkrai is like like a fucking nightmare, like quite literally a nightmare. Whereas like Cresselia is the opposite half, and like all this stuff sort of gets explained in game in some sort of form of context. But with Zarude, it was just like, it is a monkey that lives in the jungle. And is it really a mythical Pokemon? Because it doesn't feel like it's a mythical Pokemon. But with this movie, like, I feel like the explanation gives it a lot more of a personality than just its title.
It's mythical because of like its sort of place in, I guess, the food chain, for lack of a better term. It's just like within the ecosystem and how it's respected by all the other Pokemon.
Yeah.
Its relationship with the jungle itself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Helping preserve it. And respect it and all that.
And I mean, that's the thing, is like, that's what it comes down to, is that it, without that context, it is just the monkey Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But with this movie, it gives it a lot more flavor, and definitely raises my respect for it in a regard. I can't say like, I can't go back and say like, I guess maybe Pokemon Forever was probably the closest legendary relationship I really gave a shit about when it come terms to a movie. Like Pokemon 2000 was neat, but I held regard for Lugia before Pokemon 2000, and then sort of same thing with the fuck, what was it called? The one with Entei and the Unknown.
Yeah.
The name.
It's Pokemon the Movie 3.
Yeah, it's Pokemon the Movie 3.
I
just can't remember the name.
I'll Google it. But yeah, talk about it. I'll.
That was almost there and gave a little bit more context for Entei, but the thing is that predominantly Suicune has always been sort of like the more.
It is literally called Pokemon 3 the movie.
Oh, okay, there you go. I thought I had a different. It had a subtitle. I swear to God.
This spring in the unknown spells adventure. No, well, Google isn't giving me anything, so
yeah, okay. Well, anyway, maybe it was just in the Europe.
Must be. It's just like, yeah, looking at the picture here for the DVD cover
with the very badly photoshopped Ash and Charizard in the corner.
Yeah,
fucking hell. They really did want to cut the budget there, didn't they? But that was sort of there, but they stapled Entei too much to like one character for it to be important. I guess it doesn't really give it much background and sort of stuff like that. With Latios and Latias, I think like they pervade it really well of like the actual power of these Pokemon.
I love Pokemon Heroes. That is my favorite one.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, it's a really good movie. I'm not really sure what my favorite Pokemon movie is, but yeah, I just feel like those things sort of do it better. And it's the same even with the first Pokemon movie. It's the same with Mew and Mewtwo. They're kind of just they're mystical and mysterious as fuck, and that's sort of just how they are. And they're impressive enough in the games as it is. Whereas like you don't really need the movie to tell you that. You're just like, holy shit, that's a Mewtwo. Oh my god, that thing's gonna kick my ass. But and same with Mew as well. You think the same way, but like, well, same way. You know what I mean? Maybe not the same way. You're like, oh, that's ridiculously cute. You'd never see that anywhere else. I don't know.
Such a cute little pink cat.
Such a cute little pink cat. Meow.
Well, use transform and moved into something shittier. Oh,
I'll not use pound. But yeah, with Zarude, this extra context like really bumps it up in my eyes and definitely helps.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the brand new system from Nintendo that came out over the last couple of days.
Yes.
Nintendo Switch OLED Model recently released worldwide.
I really wish they just gave it an actual name.
It does have a name. Nintendo Switch OLED Model.
Yeah.
Or I think Nintendo prefers to have it called Nintendo Switch OLED Model. Now, that is a handful. Isn't it, Bryce?
You are holding it. It looks like it is quite filling your hands, yes.
Yes, so on Friday it released, went and picked it up. My pre-order from EB Games, I got the white edition. Been playing it over the weekend. Didn't get a whole lot of time yesterday because I didn't bring it to hospital. That was a bit of a sudden incident that happened. But yeah, first, just like as soon as you get out of the box, I'm sure you guys might have checked out some, unboxings, maybe even the Ask the Developer interview that Nintendo published on Nintendo.com. But if you haven't checked any of that out, I'm going to put out my thoughts, and they're all pretty. It is pretty similar. That like what you've probably heard before. But as soon as I got it out the box, I'm like, wow. The screen looks a lot nicer. You can just tell from like the black sort of shade that the screen gives off, and it's just nice and glossy to like the edges of the actual unit on the front. Looks really nice. And like the kickstand on the back, I really, really like it. I haven't played like tabletop mode with my Switch in a long time, but the kickstand now just makes it a little bit more sort of satisfying because you can put it at like any angle you want. And also one of the cool features that actually Nintendo sort of pointed out towards me as well. It's just like all the information on the back, just like regarding like recycling of the plastic and all the boring shit that makes like the back of the Switch look a bit messy. That's actually all under the kickstand now. Which so if you never use it and put in a handheld mode or tabletop mode, it's actually a nice little thing that's just all the barcode and that is hidden underneath.
Yeah.
But Bryce had a bit of a go before the podcast too. He hasn't picked one up just yet. He's
holding out.
Might get one day. But What's your thoughts just picking it up straight away? Because obviously the biggest improvement is the screen, but just as far as like the build quality and
Yeah,
all that as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's the biggest I think that's the biggest thing for me is that it's quite obvious the build quality is improved. Obviously the screen is nice, but as I sort of explained to Drew before the podcast started, I have a lot of screens in my house, a lot of screens, and um I don't have the money to upgrade all of them to look to the point where they're like really crisp and really really awesome. So it's sort of like for me, I can look at my Switch, I can look at the OLED, then look at my Switch, and obviously I see the difference, but it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. I think probably because like with my computer, whenever I'm doing anything on my computer, I am literally looking at screens that are like 7 to 10 years old. Like
Just surround yourself by like older stuff, and you won't have to
ever have to buy new
notice it.
stuff ever again.
You got a wicked TV though, so
I got a really good TV, but there's Pokemon cards all over the floor, Drew. Damn it.
Yep.
An experience being at Drew's house. So yeah, I do have an awesome TV. But that is something that the whole family can use. So it is sort of seen as a worthy purchase in that regard. It's just like, well, if I'm going to spend money on a TV, I spend $1,000 for a shit TV, or like a TV that hardly works, or I spend $3,000 and get a nice TV that the whole family can sort of enjoy. And when I connect my new consoles to it and stuff like that, like they'll all look nice and good, and that's great. But with a Switch or my computer screens or something like that, by the time I replace both screens, that's $1,400, and I'm kind of just like, it looks nice for me, but for anybody else that is not touching my computer,
Starts to rack up a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's not really worth it. I'm currently sort of like in the mindset of like, now that these things are becoming more common, obviously, like we've got plenty OLED switches and we've got 4K TVs like coming out more cheaper and cheaper as time goes on and stuff like that. I am just waiting for the point where eventually 4K monitors are like around the prices of like 300. And then I'll buy two, as opposed to like now where it'd be like, I pay $700 for each. And you're like, no, I'm all right.
Right.
Anyway, that being said, everything else, like the screen is obviously nice, but like I said, doesn't bother me too much right now. But the thing that does impress me is the build quality. Now, the build quality itself is really solid. Much more solid than the original Switch. It's definitely feels a lot more like a premium unit. And the way I look at it is that these parts in the Switch, they obviously haven't been upgraded, and therefore they've been the same parts we've been using for most of the time. Obviously, there'd be slight upgrades since then. But it's obvious that those parts have gotten cheaper, so they've invested more money into upgrading the build quality and obviously into the screen, and they've put out a product that just feels that bit more premium for the people that actually really do want a super nice Switch. Am I still a little bit disappointed that it's not upgraded in the guts? Probably yes. I haven't played with it enough to see, how like maybe something like Breath of the Wild runs and like how that looks, and
It runs the exact same. Yeah.
I'm sure it does, but like just like looking at it from a perspective, like I've played a round of Smash. I haven't, toured the thing like in the same general sense as what you will probably get over the next couple of weeks and we'll be able to report back on.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think like it's a pretty decent unit. Yeah.
Just like the screen straight away is just like, it makes me happy that I've went and got one, done the upgrade, because every now and again, say even with games like Cozy Groove, which came out on Apple Arcades, I had access to it for my subscription fee, so I'm like, oh, I'll play it on my phone, and obviously I've got an iPhone 11 Max, so that's got like a really nice screen, and the colors for the games and everything on it just really pop.
Mhm.
And you don't have the controls you want. Even if you hook it up to a controller, it's still like a bit of a clunky mess. I don't have one of the backbones or one of those nice sort of controllers that make it into like a more Switch form factor. So it's kind of like a bit weird. And I would prefer to play it on my Switch and have it docked on the TV and have all the conveniences what come with that. But when I do go back to my Switch, or at least my older one, it's just like, man, I do notice the difference because
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know, I do like having screens that do really pop and look nice, as everyone does. I don't know anyone who's like, I hate good looking screens.
I hate them.
So like all the games on it just look really nice, and even just like all of Nintendo's games, they're like very 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 colorful, so they benefit a lot from just like a more vivid screen. And but one thing I did notice is just like if you play on dark mode, just like the blacks in the back, it's obviously not optimized for like an OLED screen, so it looks a bit grainy. Like all the other images and the text and that look really nice, but just like the background looks a bit weird. At least it did to me. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem, but if you set it to just like the white theme, it looks a lot better. It doesn't have that problem. But yeah, just a really great console. Really am enjoying it so far. It's not. Everyone's saying like, oh, it's not worth it if you already have a Switch, and you know what? It's probably not. But if you have like the disposable income to get one, if you really care about the screen and having a Switch that has a better form factor, if you got one on launch and yours is falling apart, you'll probably be able to get like a pretty good deal if you go to like EB Games or GameStop or any of these places where you'll get a pretty decent trade in, because even with like I traded in my original 2017 model at the start of the year for the red Switch, the limited edition one that came out. And I ended up paying like $150 for like a brand new Switch.
Yeah.
So it'd be like a similar thing for this, where if you trade in like your original Switch, it might be like a $200 sort of on top of that, which is, I think, for that type of like price point, if you are putting money towards this with an older console or games you don't want, I think that is worth the upgrade then, especially if you've got like an ancient Switch. But if you bought one like this year or something, maybe not. But
I would probably consider getting rid of maybe my old Switch and maybe my Xbox One.
you got your Xbox One still, do you?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, you've got limited edition one.
I've got a
you?
Halo one.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Which I haven't got rid of it yet. So.
But it was cool because like when I went to EB Games to pick it up, I picked up my Switch and I was just looking at the Switch games on the wall, and behind me I just hear like one of my old friends from high school who I hadn't seen her in like years.
Years and years.
So we had a bit of a catch up, and she was actually there picking up her Switch as well. I'm like, oh, so you're getting a Switch? She's getting an OLED. She got the neon version. And she's like, yeah, well, this is my very first console I've ever gotten. I've never had one before. I'm really excited to try some of these games. Because she said when she was younger, when she lived at home, her parents didn't let her have a games console. It's just like, dude, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks. That sucks balls. But she's a big girl now, so she can go and buy her own Nintendo Switch OLED model.
Yeah, that's right.
And she was looking at the games, and she was like, "What should I get?" And it sort of set me in a mood. I'm just like looking at the last 4 years of Switch, being like, all right, what do I recommend to someone who's literally this is their first Nintendo console, their first console ever? I get, I don't know. Well, ask the questions like, oh, what's your budget? What are you into? All those types of questions. So first off the bat, she's like, well, I'm getting Mario Kart. I'm like, well, yes, get Mario Kart. That's going to be great for playing with people who come over, playing by yourself, all that. It'd be her first Mario Kart she's ever owned. And I know what that's like, because it's very different going over to someone's place and being like, yeah, I'll play some Smash with you. And it's completely different when like you have your own copy and you're like, I'm going to practice at home. I'm going to unlock, all the characters and all the trophies and all that. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So she's going to love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Could you imagine that being your first Mario Kart? That is that's a lot of stuff to dive into. And she heard about Animal Crossing. She's like, oh, well, I don't really know what it's about. She's like, well, I'm like, well, it's basically you're on an island. You got little animals running around, and you build your island from just being like a wildlife, like a untouched island. You build it up to make it into the town you want. You make friends with your little animals. She's like, that sounds cool. So she got that. And so one more game, which I had to recommend. And, looking around, I'm like, there's Astral Chain. I'm like, not Astral Chain. Good game, but not that one. And I'm like, should we do a Mario game? Is it Mario Odyssey? So no, maybe not. So Breath of the Wild, I'm like, I don't know how she'll go with this one. It's a bit more of like, it's obviously a lot more technical, a lot more to it than the other two games. But if she does like it, that'll set her off on a fantastic path
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
rest of like Nintendo's library on Switch,
Mhm.
whether it is Mario Odyssey or even
It's where the Switch began. You
yeah,
gotta think of it that way.
exactly. It's just like, how could you not recommend Breath of the Wild to a brand new Switch owner?
So I know a lot of people that wouldn't. That's the sad thing.
Yeah, well, since being in this community, we'll fucking cross the mighty.
All you people that have a problem with the weapon degradation.
Fucking hell, my neck still hurts from shaking my head so violently. Let's move on from that. But yeah, just it was interesting because I'm like, I never thought like, someone would be getting the OLED model for the very first system, but it just shows you that like, Switch is trucking on to 100 million being sold. And there's still people out there who are like, I've never owned a console before, and Switch is the one that is getting them into like more like traditional gaming, away from just like casual stuff on your phone or whatever. Because like I think mobile gaming is great, but there's a different sort of investment when you're like, I'm going to buy a device for gaming.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
no denying that because
Yeah.
when you're playing on your phone, like I have a lot of fun with Pokemon Go and a lot of the stuff I play on my phone, but there's not that investment to be like into games.
That's right. Yeah.
So like, I don't want to poo-poo mobile gaming. I just don't.
Poo-poo.
A lot of people do. I don't think
You want to poo-poo?
this isn't 2009 anymore on your iPod Touch.
Poo-poo.
It's different. It's different. But anyway, OLED model, really like it. I'm looking forward to continuing to play it.
Yep.
I haven't touched on the dock because the dock is just like a different shape, and I haven't even plugged it in yet, to be honest.
It looks nice.
It looks nice. Yeah.
It looks nice. Yeah.
We'll give Bryce his first impressions on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
you
Right. Oh, it's a dock.
Yeah, it's a dock. It's a white dock.
Oh, it's got a circular outlet on the back. It's very shiny black in the middle, where you put your Switch. Very nice white. Very nice white. Yes. You open up the back. Oh, it looks very wavy in here. It doesn't seem the back doesn't seem to latch on the same way as it does.
No, it doesn't. It just pops off.
It just pops off. It just pops off.
Just like a college party.
They have removed. I can confirm they have removed that USB port in there. What a shame. What a shame.
Bryce confirms it. No one else has.
Yep. Oh yes, yes. There is a beautiful little LAN port in there. Well, too bad it makes no difference to me because I'm a sucker that bought one. I'm kidding. It was a very worthy investment, actually.
Yeah,
it was a really good investment.
The only reason I hadn't is because, well, this is a long story, but we'll make it nice and quick. I actually got electricians in to put Ethernet into my office here so I could LAN up everything. They fucked it up, so I got another electrician in to do it, and they only put one in. So obviously the computer's got to be the main priority there. But
you just need to get a switch, man. Well, not the one in your hand.
I've got plenty of switches, bro.
Yeah, you can.
The only noticeable thing I'm going to put towards our audio listeners out there is that I'll be able to, this is the Switch in the dock at the moment, and you can hear it. This is me rattling the Switch in the dock. So there's actually a bit of give in there. Say like some grips might be able to fit in there now, but I think that extra room is just so it doesn't bloody scratch the screen.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that was a big fucking problem
on
the original Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a bit more room in there. It does rattle around if you like shake the dock, but that is a good thing as well. That's a bit more there. So that brings us to the games we've been playing, Bryce. So obviously Metroid Dread has been on the agenda. I haven't put as much time into it as I wanted to. Just because I didn't touch it yesterday on Sunday because, I've already touched on that. But just very quickly, I bought and played Tetris Effect Connected on the Switch. This was the very first game I played on my Xbox Series S when it launched last year. It was a day one Game Pass game. And it's just a really fantastic version of Tetris where it's just the visual and audio sort of stimulus are just unreal. Just as you're playing, like as you're building the blocks and getting getting rid of rows and that, it's just like the music is building up, and just as you're getting closer and closer to like completing the level, the music is just going like full force, and it's just unreal. So I bought that game because I wanted to see it on the OLED, and it looks stunning on the OLED. It looks awesome. Just how you would imagine it to be, just like the particle effects and everything that's going on as like you're completing rows. Just really, really fantastic.
Gorgeous.
So I'm glad I bought that. That will be in the recommendations towards the end of the episode. But you can get that for 45 Australian bucks. It's on, I think it's 20% off at the moment. So that's worth picking up if you've actually got one of these brand new ones. But it's worth it anyway, even if you have a Switch Lite or something as well. It's just a really great version of Tetris, which you have a lot of fun with.
Yep.
But yeah, the other one that we've both been playing, Bryce has put more time into it, but Metroid Dread, which I'm going to touch on my thoughts a bit more next week when I have a bit more time to play around with it. But Bryce, what are you thinking? You've put it
it's so good.
so good. Yeah, just like I've only literally turned it on, played like half an hour. But
Something the Switch has always done very consistently since it started is it's always made a hallmark of its franchises. So obviously, Breath of the Wild was pretty hallmark. It changed a lot about Zelda and sort of, flipped the formula back to similar to what it was once upon a time. And I think it's good for the series in general. Mario Odyssey, same thing. It sort of reconfigured the 3D formula to make it more approachable and more open in option, and therefore improving the product overall. So good tip in on that. And then you've got more titles in there that obviously do the same thing. That they don't reinvent the wheel so much; they just give it a lot more air in the pump, I guess.
okay, yep.
That makes sense, sort of pump that tire up. And it's been good for my series on the Switch, and it's definitely no different with this game and Metroid, in my opinion, at least from what I've played so far. Samus moves so fluidly, and like you can tell that this game is made to be fast and fluid, and running away from, like, even just like running away from the Emmy and stuff like that. You don't feel impeded by what's in front of you. So like, if there's a ledge and you're like, oh, if I jump up, I'm gonna have to climb up on that. Yeah, you have to do it, sure, but it, like, Samus moves pretty quick, so she climbs up that ledge pretty quick, and then you sort of like run through. You hit the slide button to slide under things. You can like constantly moving, and like it's never stopping, and that's like something that's really important to, I guess maze games like Metroid. Being impeded by something that's, I guess, just arbitrary, like, oh, like I have to push this block X amount of way, or I have to do this. It doesn't happen in Dread. There's only a few cases that I can kind of point back to where it might do it, but even then, like, they're very isolated cases. Like, there's boss doors where there's like a creature attached to the door or whatever, and you have to counter it before you can go through the door. But they are exclusively only on boss doors. So, like, when you go in and fight something. But then as well, like, I feel like aiming and movement and being is really responsive to the control stick. I think, like, it's really easy to use lock on to your advantage. Lock on, I should say. Locked aiming, I should say.
Yeah, like holding down the left bumper. And
like if I jump and hold the left bumper, I will still carry momentum, and I can still aim where I want to shoot. A lot clearer, which is really good and very effective on some bosses. It's a very like pertinent strategy. The sense of, dare I say it, dread of the game is really good. Being chased down by Emmy, it feels really threatening, and when you're caught by Emmy, like a lot of people are just like, oh, you just die, right? And it's like, no, but you're not. It explains sort of like earlier on that there is a very small chance to escape an Emmy's grasp if you're really, really good at timing, but it is virtually impossible. So you can press X at a very particular time when being caught by an Emmy to counter it. And it is such a small window of opportunity that when you do pull it off, it is so elating. You're like, oh my God, I've just escaped death. Now I've got a piss ball. So you just run. Just stuff like that just makes it really good. It captures exactly what I wanted out of it when I saw the first trailer. I was just like, holy crap, this is, dark. It invokes that sense of being the hunted as opposed to the hunter. And I'm constantly, I'm like constantly wanting to play more and more and more. Like it's just it's just routine in my head now. I'm like, I really need to pick up my Switch and play Dread. So I'm very keen. I'm hopefully I should be finished by next time we record anyway. I'm really enjoying it. I would love to jump back into this game immediately after with the knowledge of knowing where things are, so that I can see how quickly this game can be beaten with that little bit of extra knowledge. But for now, I think I've put in like maybe about 6 hours. I've definitely gotten lost for like an hour or two, just not knowing where to go. But when I eventually figured it out, I'm just like, oh my god! Like I'm a sort of sense of like finally and very good. Let's move on. But that's something like that's not new to Metroid. Like that's obviously something that's very Metroid.
Of course, yeah.
But the maps are quite big too, so it is sort of like backtracking can be a little bit big, like a little bit big of a thing, I suppose. But if that's my only complaint with the game, then I don't have many complaints at all, really. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to play more.
Yeah, I am too. I do wish that I could have fit more in over the weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I play like a bit on stream. I'm like, this really isn't a game, but I want to play on stream. So after like 10 minutes or so, I'm like, yeah, I'll play this later. And yeah,
I played a bit on stream, and I might even play more on stream, but I'm not dedicating Metroid Dread just to stream.
No.
Yeah. I figured that out as soon as I sort of got a few hours in. I'm just like, nah. I'm going to want to play this off stream. This is too fun.
And the game seems to be tracking pretty well too on Metacritic at the time of recording. It's at 88 for the critic score, and the user score is actually at 9.1, so a little bit more. And it seems to be getting pretty good reception. Everyone seems to be liking it for the most part. There were some sort of outlets complaining about the game being too hard, which is, there's hard as in being like, oh, it's not accessible to people with disabilities, which is a great point. But then there's just like too hard, where it's like I can't beat it. So well, I don't know.
You just have to practice. I got stuck on a boss last night. I'm going to redact what the boss was. But I got stuck on a boss last night. It was balls hard. It was really hard, but the satisfaction of completing it was great. I spent like 45 minutes on this one section. I'm like, God damn it. And I'm like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I need to go to sleep. I'm like, but I can't go to sleep until I kick this guy's ass. And then when I eventually did, I'm like, yeah, that felt good. And I mean, you're supposed to be challenged. It's kind of like the point, right?
Yeah, because it's not like the longest game either.
No.
So, I guess challenge sort of, it's the old school mentality of adding length to a game because it's harder.
Yeah.
Not every game has to be Uncharted on story mode.
No.
There's different experiences for different people, and Metroid doesn't have to cater to every single person either. I think Nintendo is really lacking in accessibility just through like control options and stuff. I think Pokemon Let's Go really put that into perspective, just of not having sort of control options for people that don't have full access to their hands or arms, which is a bit disappointing. But this is something different. So just calm down. Speaking of silly outlets, as part of the gaming industry, Kotaku caught a lot of flack over the week because they put out an article saying Metroid Dread is already running on Switch emulators.
Well, you know what that means? Nothing. 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 Yeah, no, I know what it is. Wait, it's that one.
He's trying to work out the Roadcaster.
There you go.
Woohoo!
There you go.
Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Yahoo!
My body is still.
For some reason, some part of me thought you'd left the volume up.
No, well, I wasn't going to go to the news just yet, but since we're
already here, man. You're already reading news.
Well, I wasn't going to read the news. We're just going to sort of bring this into the Metroid Dread conversation before getting into the news. But
this is news.
All right,
it is literally labeled news.
All right, Bryce.
We might as well just move into it.
Now, cancel the show. We're going home. Start again.
Well, have you got anything more to say on Metroid Dread? Because I've said what I've needed to.
I haven't really, no, because I've literally spent half an hour with it. I think it feels great. I think like as soon as I put it in, I'm just like moving Samus and moving her arm cannon with like the stick. Because I wasn't expecting to be able to have free roam while actually moving the character at the same time. I was expecting like, holding the trigger, then you can sort of aim, the full 360 degrees. But actually like the moving felt fantastic and just like exploring was fun. And yeah, I don't have too much to say on top of what you've said, just with the short amount of time I've spent with it.
Yep. Fair enough.
But it looks awesome on the OLED as well. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Kotaku. They actually got a bit of flack because they put out an article basically saying like, Metroid Dread's already running on Switch emulators, fantastic. And they got into a bit of heat because I'm not going to quote it just like one for one, but they basically said, thank God for thank God for hackers and emulators and ROMs and all that type of thing. Because, Nintendo isn't so good at preserving their, history as far as giving us access to their content on their platforms.
Yeah.
Which, is 100% true. So,
yeah.
But when it comes down to it, they'll very much basically saying like, hey, this is where you can get a ROM for Metroid Dread on your PC. And what's really interesting about Metroid in particular is we haven't got a Metroid game in a long time. I guess the last game would have been Federation Force, Metroid Prime Federation Force on 3DS, and that was a controversy in itself.
Wait, was that Federation? No, wasn't it Samus Returns?
Of course, so Samus Returns, but I'm thinking like original, like fully original. I know, I know Samus Returns was like a very loose, very loosely, It
was a recreation of Metroid 2.
Yeah, it's very much a recreation. It wasn't like just a remake.
No,
but as far as like 100% original, we're looking back to then on the 3DS. Which was, Next Level Games, fantastic developer, but I think they shouldn't have maybe chosen to call it Metroid Prime. I think that evoked some passionate Metroid fans. But, Metroid, we haven't actually got, especially a 2D game, in a very, very long time, all the way back in 2002 on Game Boy Advance. So, when people are basically saying just, here's where you can pirate it and potentially the game doesn't sell and Nintendo's not interested in developing these games anymore, it really did spark the fan base, rightfully so, to get upset at Kotaku. And I've just pulled some of like my mentions here on Twitter. So this is under the Kotaku post, and these are some of the people that just come up on mine. Like even just like PokeJungles replied to this, being like a Pokemon website, and they're just like, please don't pull this shit when Pokemon games come out. Will said, cool, pleased to know I can dump the ROM from the game cartridge I already legally required and have a better experience on the more powerful hardware than my Switch. This is a cool alternative for enthusiasts. I wasn't aware of this running well. So they're basically like, Will's like, oh, fucking don't need a Switch. That's awesome.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? It's like, and hi, Will, by the way.
Hi, Will.
It's been a long time since I've heard Will's name. But it is really frustrating when, and that's what it comes down to, is it's really frustrating when a new game comes out, especially in a series like Metroid that really needs more attention, and then they're going to say something like this. Sorry. They've been doing this for a while, Kotaku specifically. They've been saying like, oh, like this game runs well on an emulator, this game runs well on an emulator, and it's always with a newish title. Please fuck off, Kotaku. Honestly, like if you need any validation that your articles are fucking getting more annoying, it's now. Like if this isn't a clear indicator that you need to fucking stop doing this shit. If you want to talk about emulation, that's fine. Talking about emulation of newer stuff and encouraging it or suggesting that it's possible only harms the potential for better things to come along. Now, somebody did post about this on Twitter today, which was our good friend Zach of the Blowing Cartridges podcast, on which he talked about the episode that I was on, I was guesting on, which was centered around emulation and how things work. And I think I'm like, and I think we speak for the both of us when I say that we're very much of the sound in mind that if Nintendo aren't going to provide us a way to go back to play older catalog titles, specifically older catalog titles that are no longer purchasable, then there's really not a problem with emulation. If they give us a way to purchase them, then fine, we will purchase them. That is kind of the point, and that is like where we sort of draw the line. If it is purchasable, we will do it. If not, then emulating is really not that big of a deal, because there's no way to purchase it, and therefore there's no way to experience it. However, when you do this to new titles, and especially in a title like Metroid Dread, that is extremely important for the ecosystem of the series, and so will Prime 4. Prime 4 will also be extremely important to the series. Then you're harming it. You're harming it really badly. And again, I've been having a lot of fun with this game, and I hope people purchase this game because I think it's brilliant. It's got a screenshot there that's like from like one of the first like big moments of the game is really badass, and I'm like, even just seeing that, I'm like, I don't want people to see that picture. It's a really good moment. So it's bad enough putting that picture as the full-blown picture of your article, but then also telling people to go fucking emulate it really annoys me.
Yeah, because especially because Kotaku, recently they've got a new editor-in-chief, and they're trying to basically turn the website around because Kotaku was
a
really
shit place for a long time.
Yeah, Kotaku was really well known basically for getting links and information via Jason Schreier. And Jason Schreier, he's moved on to Bloomberg. And Kotaku, they've kind of had to sort of shuffle things and sort of imagine what the website represents. And they've been doing a lot more content and mainly articles that catch people's attention, but they're not necessarily for the right reasons. And I think this was one of them, where it's just like a title being Metroid Dread is already running on Switch emulators. And while I think like most people can't be bothered to, emulate a game on their PC, there'll be plenty of people that will. Because like even for me, like, I prefer to play on Switch, so I'm not going to go to this much effort to actually play on my PC. I buy my games on Switch over PC anyway, for like the indie games and the stuff that actually makes sense. But they did update the article after a lot of backlash. So this is their update quote: "An earlier version of this story was understood by many readers to be a direct suggestion to illegally download this just released game. We regret this interpretation. Kotaku believes emulation is a vital part of the world of gaming, not least when it comes to the game preservation, while also not directly encouraging anyone to break the law and not download games they have purchased. We believe our readers are intelligent adults capable of making such choices for themselves independently from us." And you know what? Some of the article, they do sort of just touch on Nintendo's sort of idea of the way they're preserving their games. And I do agree with that. I think that is a sort of a stance a lot of Nintendo fans agree with, because like, we want access to a lot of these classics, and even the platforms they are covering being NES and SNES, like stuff like Earthbound and a lot of these games that we do want to play on our current devices, on our handheld devices, we just don't have access to.
No.
So it is frustrating from that respect, being like, all right, I want to play Earthbound. You can go and buy, you can have access to it on 3DS and Wii U, yes, but they are platforms a lot of us aren't interested in picking up like new titles on, like spending active money on. I don't know. I still really enjoy my 3DS, but I wouldn't want to go back to Wii U, for example.
No.
And just like with like the conveniences of the Switch, which we've all become very accustomed to, just like, these games that don't have like real graphical sort of fidelity and all that. We want to play them there. That's where we want to play them. Nintendo has made a really nice little device we want to play these games on. So it is frustrating. So I agree with them there. But when it comes to like brand new games, it's like, all right, and it was obviously just put that way to get the attention. It's a bit annoying. I did see some people on Twitter being like, all right, this is enough. I blocked Kotaku. So yeah, people have sort of had enough of Kotaku. It's not even that. Like,
no, it's shitty practice. Everything about it is just shitty fucking practice. Even just having that article up as it is right now, even though it is corrected, is shitty practice. Don't fucking bring light to this shit. There's a reason that it is kept in the dark. Not even just because, there are people that are like, oh, if I'm caught, I'm going to get in big legal trouble. No, a lot of it's kept in the dark so that more people don't fucking find it. Because there's no point. Like, support the development. That's stupid. It's fucking, yeah, it beats me. These fucking Kotaku make me fucking mad, man. I hate them.
Yeah, I mean,
Kotaku.
I generally find though, like, it's not that I spend like a lot of time, but like Kotaku Australia, I find like some of their articles actually quite useful. I don't know how like merged they are, whether like Kotaku Australia is like a little bit separate, but I don't know. Anyway, frustrating. Let's move on. So I don't know what you think about this, Bryce, but since we've gotten a little bit more information about Pokemon Legends Arceus, and people have put together a bit more of what's going on with the world of the Hisui region, people have been sort of thinking to themselves like, "Oh, is this game actually open world?" And
I've considered this.
Yeah, we've only come to that conclusion because like they basically did a parody of the Breath of the Wild trailer with Legends Arceus. And we actually have a statement from the Pokemon Company regarding this. So, quote, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, Jubilife Village will serve as the base for surveying missions. After receiving an assignment or a request and preparing for their next excursion, players will set from the village to study one of the various open areas of the Hisui region. After they finish the survey work, players will return once more to prepare for the next task. We look forward to sharing more information about exploring the Hisui region soon.
It's a semi-open world.
Yeah. And like, a lot of people are comparing this to Monster Hunter because you go back to the hub world. You prepare your gear, you do your crafting, you do all that stuff to prepare for the next monster to take down. Make sure you're prepared for the next mission you've got to do. And this seems very much of, that sort of formula rather than the, Breath of the Wild sort of open world. And, personally, it doesn't really bother me that much. I'm quite happy. It just depends. Like these areas, they are quite bigger. They're a lot bigger than say the wild area that was included in Pokemon Sword and Shield. All three of them. So just the idea of being like, all right, you still got like this big area to explore, and when you want to go to another area, you go back to Jubilife Village, you prepare, and you go to the next area. Like it's not going to change it too much, unless like you just really want that open world sort of like no like load screen sort of experience, which I can sort of sympathize with people, but
I think we all wanted that in some regard, but I just think that if this is the way it's going the way it is, then it's probably for the better.
Yeah, well, we're all sort of thinking like, how is Game Freak going to pull off an open world Pokemon game like just from the bat? And you know what? This might be the more preferred stepping stone to get there. Have like really, hopefully smaller detailed worlds with like very specific things to do in each. And then, you move on to the next one, and that's how they'll sort of set up the wardens and the more sort of structured storyline. Because when we got idea of the wardens being a part of the game, and like there's 8 of them, very similar to gym leaders, it's not going to be like the beasts in Breath of the Wild where it's just like take down anyone you want in any order you want. It's like I doubt it was ever going to be like that. It was going to be a specific way to do it, even if it was open world, and eventually you can walk from one side to the other to the other side when you've unlocked everything. You've got all the ways of transportation with various Pokemon. It still would have had a very structured story, which is fair enough, because as you can see, even with the sequel to Breath of the Wild, it's still taken a very long time. Those types of games are not a small endeavor to take on.
Absolutely not. No.
So yeah, I'm not even. It doesn't bother me at all. I know some people might be like disappointed, but I think at the end of the day, people are going to have a good time with this game still.
As long as you move in the same way and do the things that are advertised, then that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, there's still like.
I don't think it needs to have like and you know what, like when you think about it, just thinking of like the way that Breath of the Wild sort of handles things with like Hyrule Castle and stuff like that, and having Mount Coronet just in the middle of the map and like going, all right, I'm just gonna go climb Mount Coronet. Like, yeah, it was never really gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, I'm still pretty positive about it. Whenever I think about this game, I'm just like, well, by the time this game comes out, I'm pretty much due to have my kid. That's every time I think about it.
So I can't bother you too much.
Just like, yeah,
got other things to worry about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm really worried about this. The kid can wait. I'm just very worried about this open world Pokemon game. Just quickly, we've got some more Pokemon news. The Pokemon Company and Universal Studios Japan have announced a brand new partnership.
Hooray.
So, I guess the original sort of partnership with Nintendo didn't include Pokemon, but yeah, now it does. Just reading from My Nintendo News, the Pokemon Company and Universal Studios Japan announced a new collaborative partnership between the two entertainment leaders. Universal Studios Japan and the Pokemon Company will enter a long-term partnership to jointly explore groundbreaking entertainment that will immerse guests into the world of Pokemon with interactive technologies and creativity beginning in 2022. So we're going to get some theme parks and all of that. So hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun when we can actually get over there. At this stage, Bryce, we're going to get to Nintendo World over in Japan. It's going to be knocked down and made into a car park or something for the Pokemon the Pokemon theme park before we even get there.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Have you looked at the videos of Nintendo World? Because
Yeah,
people
I
are
have.
actually going in there and doing vlogs and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks unreal. It looks very plastic, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm very keen to go.
Yeah. It's just like I watched like a Yoshi ride.
Yoshi.
Yoshi. Yeah, it looks like it's very slow. Just looking at like, oh look, there's some grass with some small eggs in there, and you use like I forgot if it was, I think it was like the wristband you got, and you actually like had to like find the eggs as you're going through. It's very very much catered to the kids. I'd like it if there's like a really wicked fast roller coaster or something in there. That'd be pretty cool. Just like a Rayquaza roller coaster. My God, that'd be wicked in the Pokemon one. What would be a ride you would want to go on in a Pokemon themed theme park? I reckon the Rayquaza roller coaster would be sick. Mega Rayquaza, riding that.
I'll just stay at the Snorlax lunch bar. Fuck that.
You're not a roller coaster man?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not a show ride guy.
No, fair enough.
Never have been.
Fair enough. We got some more information on the Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct. It's coming the 15th of October, so expect some more information on that. We've got roughly 20 minutes of information coming at us, later this month. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. I've re-downloaded Animal Crossing on my OLED. I've moved over my save file, and I'm hoping, I really am hoping this is like got some substantial content coming out where I'm like, all right, I'd like to play it again. Bryce, I know it's not going to get you. I think you've said in the past, like, whatever. I'm not going to go back to Animal Crossing. But have you changed your mind since then? Or
No, not really.
Not really.
Like, and unless it's like a huge push forward, which it probably won't be.
Yeah. We'll get to go to the coffee bar again, though. So that'll be exciting.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
A brand new announcement from Rockstar that the Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy Definitive Edition is coming to the Switch. So that's cool. It's coming to all platforms as well. PlayStation 4, 5, 1, Series X, Series S. So if you prefer to play them there. But it's coming to Switch. So this is pretty cool because it's one of the first times the Grand Theft Auto series is coming to Nintendo platform, apart from Chinatown Wars on DS. But these are like, I guess like the proper mainline games from the PlayStation 2.
Definitive.
Of course. So it does. We've got no screenshots or information about them apart from they are touched up versions. Hopefully they will look a bit better because, like, the PS2 versions, it's like, wow, it's going to be hard to go back to. Just like looking at them. Hopefully it'll be like a bit of fun in handheld mode, just like mucking around and stuff. That's what I can see myself doing.
I'll just play Grand Theft Auto 3 and do the same thing I always did.
What did you do?
Smash through the car dealership door, grab the Banshee, and do sick tricks off of ramps.
Yeah, so that's all I did. Like, when I go to my friends' places, they all had PS2s. I never had my own. I didn't really feel the need to have my own. But it was like, oh, let's put on GTA and we'll muck around. And when you die or get busted, you hand over the controller. That's all GTA was to me. I never did any of the story or anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a kid, you're like, all right, you got to go and deliver this prostitute. I'm like, what?
I just see them as pretty general crime storylines. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't really get that invested in GTA.
Yeah. So we'll see that later this year. Hopefully we'll get some information soon so we can actually decide whether it's going to be worth picking up or not. I'm sure it will be if you're a big fan of the trilogy on the PS2/Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And the big news that we haven't covered yet on the show, which we're very excited about, last week, Sora was confirmed to be coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And this is very exciting for a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans, a lot of Smash Brothers fans. Sora was the most voted character people wanted all the way back in 2015, I think it was, for the character poll, which Sakurai put out. And, a lot of people wanted this. So we finally have it. Sora was actually trending as well before the actual reveal. So people were like, just give it to us. It was pretty insane. So, me not being a Kingdom Hearts fan, I'm like, you know what? I'm happy for everyone else. But even just watching Sora in action, I'm like, this is going to be a good character. I'm looking forward to it. Very, very different. We'll touch more on like Sora's move set and what it's like to play when we actually get a feel of him when he comes to the game next week. So we'll touch on all that stuff next week. But just as far as the other stuff that got announced in the sort of the Sakurai's presentation, we got some brand new Mii fighters. The more noticeable one being Doomguy, or the protagonist from Doom. You can now dress up your Mii as that guy.
As Doomslayer.
As the Doomslayer. I'm just like, what?
I do like that he acknowledged he's like Doomslayer, and then he's like, or otherwise affectionately known by most people as Doomguy. I'm like,
It's a bit of a shame. I don't think he'd get the music with him like he did some of the more.
Oh, I so wanted some of the music.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame because like the Doom music, it rocks. It is really good. So having that in Smash would be really fantastic.
I just want a BFG division. That's all I wanted. But no.
We also got access to an Octoling Wig and a Judd hat. So Judd, for those that don't know, is like the cat from Splatoon, which actually like announces who won the match with the flag on either side. So you get a little Judd hat. I would have loved to. Judd would have been a really funny one to get a full costume.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. But we didn't. So it's very actually quite limited the amount of Mii Fighter costumes we got in this drop. But pretty cool. Just a Doomslayer in general. So we won't touch on Sora too much here, but just like it was funny that, obviously Kingdom Hearts is the collaboration between Square Enix with Final Fantasy and Disney coming into the picture with all their IP coming into it. And we saw nothing from Disney IP apart from Mickey Mouse's like keychain on Sora. That's the only sort of hint of Disney we got. And Sakurai sort of touched on like what sort of minefield this was trying to get this character in the game. But obviously it was worth it for them because of just how much of a demand there was for this character. So what do you think of the lack of Disney? Because personally for me, just seeing Sora there is like, oh, that's cool enough. I'm not a big fan. So just seeing him without Donald and Goofy isn't such a big deal to me. But I know like someone like you or big Kingdom Hearts fans who've gone through the game and seeing Sora without any of his partners in his final smash or anything like that is a bit strange. So what's your take on that?
Look, it doesn't bother me in the sense that I knew exactly what would happen if Sora was in the game anyway. So I came to peace with it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right. I was never gonna get the same thing. It was always gonna be very cut down, very watered down. Can't help it. It made me laugh, I have to say, throughout the entire reveal and the entire discussion over Sora. Not a single trace of Disney, and that made me laugh. I thought that was great. I thought that was funny.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great. I thought it was funny because it happened exactly how I thought it would. Overall though, he looks great. The stage looks great. The music selection's not too bad, but I feel like there's a lot more in there that they could have put in instead.
Yeah, I really wanted to have Let It Go in there from Frozen. That would have been great to smash to. But
jokes aside, though, like it really does feel like the end. I mean, it is the end for Ultimate, but like the way that trailer played out in the beginning felt like an end to Smash almost. It was almost a little bit depressing.
Yeah, well, even on the lead up to it all, it's like, man, this is the last character. It feels like a finale to something we've been following on the podcast, something we've been playing, even before the game came out, something we've been anticipating just existing. And like with the very first trailer, just being with the Inklings having a fight, then the room going dark, the Smash logo coming up in fire, seeing it in the Inkling's eyeball. And then this is like the sequel to that trailer where all the characters are there. and they're all sort of amiibo-fied, trophy-fied. And Mario sort of reaches out to the flame and gets the key and throws it, opens a portal for Sora to come in, and just like with the sparkles and the light shining on Link's back and a couple of the other characters, the Sora's like entering through the portal. It's just like, wow. It's like, the Smash trailers have always been fantastic, but just this one evoking like even that was like that little bit of Disney magic that came through, mixed with Nintendo, mixed with just nostalgia of previous Smash announcements. Like, it really hit me pretty hard, especially when, Sakurai going towards the end, he's explaining all the statistics of like how popular the game is. Like, this is how many billions of hours are put into the game. This is how many KOs, online matches, all of that. It's just like a tremendous game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, we're going to be looking forward to playing this character when he comes out. And I think for Reggie's Rec Room, we'll have a bit of a retrospective on some of the characters that got announced in Smash Ultimate through the actual game itself, the base game, and 2 DLC packs. Before we get there, let's touch on some Red Coin
recommendations.
Not the recommendation. Red Coin releases. I forgot what we changed it to.
Yeah.
You're on the button, Bryce.
Is it that one?
Yeah, it might be, mate.
Might be. Oh.
There you go. You have to turn it down for me too. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you very much, then, mate. Ooh, good on nice thing. So the obvious one is Metroid Dread. You can get it for $80 on the eShop. Actually, something funny happened with your Metroid Dread too. You actually ordered it online, didn't you? Then you're like, it's going to take 2 weeks, so you just downloaded it on the eShop.
Yep. So I'm going to return my physical copy.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Because I was like, seriously, man, you're not going to play it for 2 weeks? That's a bit rough.
I'm like, that. No, yeah. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm like, if you think I'm waiting 2 weeks for this is ridiculous. So basically, I'm just going to get it. And they're like, what's your reason for returning? I'm going to be like, I talk on a podcast about video games. You can send me a fucking new release game 2 weeks after it's out? No, take it back.
Big W, you can suck it. Next up is Tetris Effect Connected for $45. It's on sale for 25% off from $60. So please go and get that one if you like a really nice version of Tetris. Next one is one I haven't played yet, but Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is out.
Banana.
So just read it here. So if you don't know what Super Monkey Ball is,
Banana Mania.
Fucking hell, you're going to make me just say it. So roll through wondrous worlds with what's his name again? AA.
Aye.
And friends as you race to stop Monkey and mad scientist Dr. Bad Boon from blowing up Jungle Island. Join the all-star monkey team as Mimi, Gon, and Baby Yan and Doctor as you bounce, tilt, and roll your way across hundreds of delightfully crafted levels and mazes. It's monkey business for the gang as you take down Dr. Bad Boon and steal back your beloved bananas. So go and check that one out for $55 on the eShop or wherever you buy your games from Big W online, which makes you wait for 2 weeks.
Beautiful
stuff. And one I actually bought on the Xbox, which I haven't tried yet. I haven't turned it on yet, is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. And I bought this because it has Brawl in the title, and I like Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and this one, you jump around like it. It's actually interesting because I checked out the Metacritic. I actually had no idea how this game reviewed. It was on sale for a pre-order bonus. But it's not going too bad. This Metacritic is 67. And personally, if this game was if it was good and it was getting around 6s, I'd be happy with it. I'm just jumping around as buddy Aang from Avatar and hitting people. Something a bit different to your typical Smash experience. So I wasn't too worried about that, but keen to play it. I got it on Xbox because I wasn't 100% convinced that the port on the Switch would be great. But anyway, the blurb reads, brawl it out as your favorite Nickelodeon characters in bombastic platform battles. That's a good way to put it. Bombastic platform battles. With a power-packed cast of heroes from the Nickelodeon universe face off with all-stars from SpongeBob SquarePants, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Loud House, Danny Phantom, Real Monsters, and the Wild Thornberries. Hey Arnold, Rugrats, and more to the term of the ultimate animation Donaments. Oh, my mouth is broken in some words, eh? With unique move sets and attacks inspired by their personalities, each character has an individual style of play, enabling endless action for Nickelodeon's legions of fans. Select your favorite, then let the intense brawls begin in online and local multiplayer action.
Go intense, baby.
So check that one out for $70 on the eShop. It was on sale for like a pre-order bonus for $55, which is a little bit more suitable, I feel. So anyway, Bryce, that's the Red Coin releases this week. There also was another game, No Longer Home, but the music's already finished, so it's too bad. Too bad. But that game does look interesting. It is like a nice little indie game you can get for $15. It's very much like a storytelling game about like real life scenarios. It looks interesting. Check it out on the eShop.
Beautiful.
All right, Bryce. Let's dig into some of the characters that have been announced over the course of Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Reggie's Rec Room. We haven't been there in a long time, have we?
I know. We've got to stop being rude.
Hi, Nintendo.
Got to turn that one right up too.
Reggie here.
There you go.
Thank you for your never-ending support, for giving me a mushroom kingdom full of incredible memories that I will never forget. Ever.
Cracking a drink with Reggie. It's always a good time here at the House of Mario. Bryce,
It is.
has he been cleaning the room?
No.
Bloody hell, Reggie.
I told you about the fungus that's growing in the room. I did a whole episode where I mentioned it. There's a lot of fungus in the room. I don't know whether he's trying to cultivate it enough to make some mushrooms or what he's going to do. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I don't know either. Anyway, let's talk about the characters that were introduced in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate over the last 3 years, which, this game being that old already is just like, it's kind of upset me a little bit. Maybe makes me feel a bit old.
Crazy.
But let's go through all the trailers as we've got them here on a YouTube video, which we will discuss them in audio form, obviously. The first one being the trailer we touched on before, just announcing the game existed. No gameplay or anything. We're going to get more information at E3 2018.
Yep.
Yes. So this was at the start of the year where we got information that Smash was in existence. And it was just with that big Smash logo in the Inkling's eye as all the characters were revealed there. And man, I was so excited for this one. I've said the story before, but just being like in the car watching that direct, I'm like, I really wish I was recording this one. I wish I was at home with my camera, with my microphone, all that, and just been like, my reaction was just like, yes, fuck yes. Like, were you in a similar way? Like, we were just aching for Smash on Switch.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go back to Wii U. Like, there was one thing of like playing Brawl for years, just like in Wii form, and just wanting the HD version on Wii U. But yeah, we just want to sit there on the couch and play on our Switches. Don't want to bring out the Wii U. The Wii U was a distant memory at this point.
That it was.
So a year later. But just at E3 that year, the trailer that actually announced that all the characters were coming back. And it slowly starts off being like, here is Mario. Here is Pikachu. Here is Luigi. Here is Kirby. Like, yeah, cool.
Here's ice climbers and everybody shit their pants.
Yeah. Well, then it kicks into like where Snake teleports in with his box. And it just goes, everyone is here.
Yeah.
And that was a moment where it's just like, oh my God. Just like all the
Because
characters.
nobody expected Snake back.
Yeah, and even like hours later where we're sort of like looking at the characters that were returning to this game, we're like, what? Like, they said everyone, but it took a long time for it to sink in. Just being like, wait, even Pichu's back? Okay, all right. Is Ice Climbers are back? Because God forbid the 3DS...
Cloud's back? Like what?
Yeah, like, the characters that they got through the DLC, which would have been pretty difficult to get back via, just licensing rights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the big disappointment, I think, of this trailer was everyone was checking out Snake's ass. Snake had a glorious ass in Super Smash Bros. Brawl with the camera. You zoom right up. He's got like he's got curves, but
no longer does he have a butt.
No curves. So Sakurai, he's playing pretty loose with the ultimate naming in this game because obviously it's not Snake's ass just isn't there. Yeah,
no, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. He says.
That's right.
But then we get like
it's a real shame.
at the same E3 we get an announcement that Daisy is an Echo character.
Yep.
for Peach,
Yeah,
which
we
is
did.
cool.
Yeah.
Like the Echo characters were a great way of just like bringing characters in to the game that we would like to see. Like there's no reason we wouldn't want Daisy in there, but we also don't need just a recreation of Peach. Just a bit different with a different skin, and that sort of helps get the characters in there because the developers don't have to like put so much time into like Daisy, which at the end of the day isn't going to like drive
Yeah.
sales.
No, it's not. No.
Well,
It might for some people, but not most.
yeah. And the big one was Ridley. Ridley was just an absolutely crazy sort of announcement.
That trailer, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that trailer was nuts. It was just like real dark and tense. Freaking everybody being picked off like flies.
Yeah. And for a long time, people have wanted another Metroid representative, apart from just like variations of Samus. And Ridley was a pretty, obvious one, being like the main bad guy from a lot of the games. And just, Sakurai's like, Ridley is a massive being in like the Metroid games. So putting him into Smash Brothers, he's going to be disproportionate. It's not going to work. And I think, there was enough crying on the internet for Sakurai to say, you know what, I'm going to put Ridley in. Because Ultimate, I think, really was like Sakurai being like, I'm going to do everything the fans want.
Yeah, and if I can satisfy them. Yeah.
And we'll get to that at the end of these like discussions, but we'll discuss like, did he succeed in that respect?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ridley, obviously not as big as you'd see him in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, a part of the story mode.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Not as big as like, in the Metroid games, because Ridley is a big boy.
I'd like to make very well known too that this is where the "Don't ask me for anything again" meme started for Sakurai.
Yes.
Because this is literally something he was very much against and still did it anyway. Yeah.
And you know what? Just against Sakurai, Ridley works fine. Being smaller.
Yeah, but it does take out some of the.
He's obviously not as menacing because he's the same size as Samus.
That's what I mean. Is that like he's not as intimidating, which is kind of like half his character. He's a giant pterodactyl for fuck's sake. Like, yeah, honestly, like the menacing part was like 90% of Ridley.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, next up,
they should have just let us play as like a character that took up half the screen.
Well, that's all right. Yeah. Next up was Simon and Richter Belmont, which was obviously huge, having Castlevania representatives in the game. Obviously, Castlevania is just as funnily enough, coming off of the back of a Metroid announcement right there. Is a huge part of gaming history. They, we have Metroidvanias as a pseudonymed name for a genre. For a very good reason. They both Castlevania and Metroid in that respect, they were very famous in leading the way for this sort of like maze-like exploration type of platformer. And with Castlevania finally being represented, not only just the one character but two, was something quite big, really. Yeah,
because Castlevania is just like a massive part of Nintendo's history on NES and even Super Nintendo. Eventually it went to the PlayStation and become sort of like a symbol over there. But for like retro sort of Nintendo fans,
even on the GBA, man, some of the GBA ones are considered the best Castlevania games.
Yeah, with the collection just coming out as well.
Yeah,
which I'm keen to get actually, but just so much else is coming out. But
at the moment, it's ridiculously hard.
If I'm going to find the time to go back to some Game Boy Advance games, but it's in the wish list. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, these characters are really great. I
love playing them.
I haven't played as either of those in a long time.
I love playing Richter.
With so many characters in the game, there's 89 characters.
There certainly is
in this game now. I've got like my 10, and I never touched like freaking 70 so characters. It's nuts. Just need to play on random more and enjoy some other characters.
I don't mind touching most of them. I think most of them are pretty good.
I like touching them as well.
Yeah.
I like touching Kirby especially. Next up, we got Chrom, which is a character from Fire Emblem Awakening that a lot of people wanted.
Yeah,
it was funny in the Wii U version. We got an announcement trailer for Lucina, who is,
Chrom's child.
Yeah, I was trying to work my way around that, but
I think they put the reference in the game, and I think everybody knows at this point. Awakening is quite old now. Let's be real.
I know it's been long enough, but just in case. But anyway, like at the end of that trailer, Chrom got defeated and said, "Oh, like he's defeated on the ground. He's like, maybe next time. And here he is next time.
There he is. He's like a weird mashup between Roy and Marth, and a little bit of Ike is in there too with his up B. Very very relatively balanced character overall, with a little bit more power behind him. With some sort of Marthy kind of stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, is actually an Echo character, but actually it's mixed up enough. It doesn't actually feel that much of an Echo.
Yeah, that's right.
Compared to Daisy or Dark.
Oh yeah,
Dark
that's right. Yeah.
Which, just watching back the trailers, I'm like, I should play more as Chrom, because I think I'd actually quite enjoy him. I just, when the game comes out, he's not one of the more interesting new characters compared to K. Rool, Ridley.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of these characters, but Dark Samus, another Echo character that got announced in the same trailer.
Yeah.
Pretty could. Another Metroid character, which have been lacking for a long time, even if it is a very basic reskin of Samus, which is a bit more floaty, a bit more sort of mysterious looking.
Yep.
Personally, I haven't played a lot of Dark Samus. I don't really get along with it that well. But anyway,
it's sort of just it is a Samus Echo, and therefore you're not really seeing way too much. A lot of people actually think that Dark Samus is competitively better than normal Samus, which is kind of a shame, to be honest. But I personally don't like how floaty Dark Samus is. So I stay away from Dark Samus usually.
Yeah, same here. So next up was a huge one at the time. King K. Rool got announced, and this was
something we thought would never happen.
Yeah, and the trailer was fantastic. It just has like Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong in their sort of hideout in their house, just chilling out. And there's just like this big fake out moment where it's like, what's that? Is that King K. Rool? Is that one of the the rare characters coming back from Donkey Kong Country? Oh no, it's just King Dedede. Haha, joke, trolled us, got us. But obviously that's not going to be the trailer, and it's going to finish. King K. Rool drops down and just smacks Dedede in the head, and bang, is in Smash, which was a big moment. This was really exciting. A lot of Donkey Kong Country fans, and more representation for the Donkey Kong franchise, apart from just like the mainstays who you would play as in the game. But it was a really great touch, and K. Rool actually turned out to be a lot of fun. At launch, he was,
fucking busted.
I don't know if he was busted or we just didn't know how to handle him, because he was a bit different. He had that super armor. He had he was pretty fast as well. He wasn't a slow, heavy character. He had a lot to him. But I feel like over time it's been sorted out. I think.
I think so too.
Whether it's through updates or us just being like, all right,
no, he's definitely more manageable than he was before. Definitely. He's not so hard to fight against now. He's still kind of annoying with the amount of mobility that he's got. Otherwise, he's fun. Yeah, his crown's not as intimidating as it once was, and stuff like that. That was the major problem, is he could just projectile the fuck, and
he just runs to one side of the screen. He's just like, throw him a crown, do a cannonball.
Anybody that's close to suck them up and blow them away, and then like anybody knocks me off the edge, I can literally fly the entire length of the fucking.
Yeah, that's right. His up B was nuts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they did nerf him down a little bit, which is great.
Next up is Isabelle from Animal Crossing, and this was a fun announcement trailer. At the time, we didn't have Animal Crossing on the Switch, so just it very much starts off looking like Animal Crossing gameplay. You have Isabelle basically saying like, "Oh, the mayor, he's too busy. He's too busy being in Super Smash Brothers. I've got so much work to do." And then she ends up getting an invitation through the mailman Pete, which was interesting. And then Isabelle's in the game as well. Plays pretty. Kind of very similar to Villager, apart from just her tools. Her tools are very different. She's got like the fishing rod, and the way she uses like what are those things called in Animal Crossing? The things with faces, and you can put them in your room.
Gyros.
Yeah, gyroids. Yeah, she uses them very differently as well. She actually just plants them.
I do want to emphasize, actually, now that I think about it, now that we've just had this last DLC pack announced, officially by canon, Isabelle and Doomslayer exist in the same game.
Yeah.
So now the meme is real.
You can have them face each other.
For those who might not remember or don't know what I'm talking about, Animal Crossing New Horizons and Doom Eternal shared the same release day, so there was a huge partnership thing made by people,
fans.
Yeah. And developers, they got in on it too. That of putting like I guess, Isabelle in Doom situations and Doomslayer in Animal Crossing situations, or like
I love it.
making the titles of their games look respective to one another and stuff like that. And it was just, it was a lot of wholesomeness all around in some ways. And I guess now, it finally has like sort of come full circle. They are in a game together.
It seems like id have actually like really taken on that sort of collaborative aspect with Nintendo, because, well, not with Nintendo, but even with the Metroid Dread release, they actually announced, or not announced, but put together a collaboration artwork between Doom and Metroid for that as well.
Yeah.
So it seems to be something they're doing for a few Nintendo franchises, just to be like, hey, like, you know, Nintendo is pretty much into
Buy us Nintendo, please.
too late now. I think Microsoft paid a little bit more than Nintendo would for id, but yeah, no, it's cool to see Isabelle in there, some more Animal Crossing stuff. Next up, we got the Echo Fighter Ken, who was in the same trailer as Incineroar, which was a cool Generation 6 Pokemon, one of the starter Pokemon, evolving from Litten, who you could choose at the very start of the game. The thing about Incineroar is he's pretty cool. He's the wrestling Pokemon, but he will not be able to get back very easily.
No,
he'll die. His up B is pretty much self-destruct. He just dives right down. It's a very powerful move when you're on the stage, but if you want to recover, it's not so good. But I do enjoy using Incineroar. I'm not any good at him necessarily, but he's a fun character regardless.
Yeah, he's very good counter potential.
The next up was the very first downloadable fighter in the game. So Piranha Plant, it wasn't really a part of the first DLC pack.
No, he was free character.
Yeah, if you bought the game in the first month or two, you got him 2 months. Yeah, you got him for free. Otherwise, you would have to buy him for about $7. But Piranha Plant is such a dumb character, but I really like Piranha Plant.
He's fun. Yeah.
Piranha Plant's so much fun. I love his down B and being able to like extend his neck and having like that attack.
You playing online community nights when you were playing Piranha Plant. Oh my fucking God. I was getting so fucking mad.
Why? Because why was it like a troll getting mad at, or because like I did all right with him? What was your take there?
Because you're in like, I'm like trying to recover from the ledge, and I just see you withdrawing back into that pot. I'm like, oh no, don't you fucking dare get away. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm in the pot. So yeah, Piranha Plant. I think a lot of people are like, what the hell?
he's good though.
But I love Piranha Plant.
Yeah.
And like he didn't get like a massive sort of open like trailer, but just like he got little interesting gameplay snippets, a bit like a machinima kind of put together. Just having like Mario go towards this Piranha Plant and get mucked up by him. Pretty cool. All right, so let's move on to the very first character in the first DLC season pass. That was Joker. Got announced at 2018 Game Awards, and this was one of like Nintendo's big announcements at that show.
Yep.
And this was massive because like this opened people's eyes to what characters could be included with this pass. Being Joker being from an exclusive PlayStation game, Persona 5. You know, Persona's been on like 3DS and stuff in the past, but never like a mainline title. It's been like, what were those Persona games on 3DS? Persona...
The Q games.
Yeah, Q, that's right. So like, you know, technically Joker was the protagonist or involved in those games, but it very much said Joker from Persona 5.
Yes.
So everyone's like, oh my God. So can this mean we can get like Master Chief and God knows, you know, everyone's imagination just went wild with this. And, you know, people very, very excited. Like, all right, when's Persona 5 coming to Switch? It must be coming soon because that would make sense.
No.
No, we're in 2021 and still no.
We have Persona 5 Strikers, but we don't have...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit frustrating, but it's very cool that we had this franchise come to Smash Brothers. I didn't play a whole lot of Joker personally. Did you play much as him? Did you like bring?
I played a bit, but I never really got good with him.
Yeah, so you never put him like, you know, under your wing type of thing as a main character.
No,
fair enough. Next up, we have Hero from the Dragon Quest franchise. So we actually have all of the heroes from the games. At least how many of them are included? How many skins? Is it 4 of them or is it 8? Must be 4. Then they've got 2 alternatives each.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have 4 of them from like Dragon. You have 1 from Dragon Quest. 11. Must be ones from PS2. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know a whole lot about Dragon Quest, but it was cool. It's a cool character. I actually really liked Hero. Just like this was one of the characters, the most versatile characters, just with the spells.
Yeah.
Being able to just like select from a random list of 4 each time. So, you've got to very, very quickly react to like what tools you're given at that very instant. And like you've got some sort of attacks in that, but like a self-destruct and things that you won't want to hit under like some circumstances. Like if you're like 200% and your enemy's, about 50, you can self-destruct and just like get that stock down and it doesn't really matter. But if you're like full health and you just self-destruct, it's no good.
No.
So yeah, it's just a really, really nice character because Sakurai could have very well just been like, yeah, it's the guy with a sword and he hits people, and his B just shoots out a lightning bolt, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah, he made an effort.
Yeah, the team really did, kind of go balls to the wall with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So really cool seeing Dragon Quest being represented here in this way. The stage was fantastic too. This was one of the first stages that actually like took you on in the DLC packs anyway, but took you on a tour throughout like a few locations throughout the series, which we would see in a lot of the other ones as well. Bryce, this is one that made you just actually cry. E3 Banjo-Kazooie was announced, which was just absolutely crazy. Yeah. Actually, yeah, Hero and Banjo-Kazooie were both at E3, weren't they?
Certainly were, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I thought they were at the same presentation. But Banjo-Kazooie, just a favorite of yours from Nintendo 64. You've been wanting this character to be in Smash, for so long, and sort of like the rights and how this character was represented by Microsoft. It seemed that it was a bit hard to do, but they made it happen.
Yeah, that's right. They did. Yeah. So with this, the trailer sort of started off in the same way that King K. Rool's did, which immediately brought everybody into hype mode, because they're just like, if we're seeing Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong on screen in this scenario, it has to be rare. And funnily enough, yeah, it was. I did it the exact same way they did with the King K. Rool reveal. So by the time the trailer had already started up, we knew it was coming. We knew it was happening. We all got very excited. That Jiggy bouncing along the floor and stuff like that. And we were just like, oh my God, this can't be real. But it was real. It was so very incredibly real. And all Banjo fans on the planet could do nothing but just squeal.
I was so happy for you. Like, I was keen to have that character in the game just because it needed to be there.
Yeah,
it's a very important character to, especially the Nintendo 64 generation of gamers. But just even the logistics of getting him there was just like, wow.
But it's not only just done that too, though, but it's also set up like the potential for what we've now got in Nintendo Switch Online. We're actually getting Banjo-Kazooie in the pack. They said a little bit after release, which, by the way, when did we still haven't got a definitive date for this month, do we? When Nintendo 64?
No, not yet. They said they'll tell us in October for pricing and release date. So
okay, cool. So basically, that set up the potential to actually bring them back to back to their home, in their old home, Nintendo. So now we've got Banjo-Kazooie coming back to Switch through Nintendo Switch Online as a result, and that to me is fantastic, because it means that more people get to play it. Banjo-Kazooie was one of my favorite. It still is one of my favorite games, I reckon. Yeah, absolutely, it is. It is easily probably the highest quality platformer on Nintendo 64 by far, and the amount of charm and character that was brought to me in those childhood days with these two characters was just absolutely nuts. So I wanted nothing more than to have them in my game of Smash, and their reveal trailer was just absolutely perfect, and I was so happy to see them here.
Next up, we have Terry, and this is a character you really latched onto.
I fucking love Terry, yeah. Terry's great. Terry's dope. Everything about Terry's great. He kind of operates the way that I wish Ken and Ryu did, and I guess I don't have to wish Ken and Ryu did now if I got Terry. Just everything about him is like he still reacts with inputs and stuff like that, but he doesn't feel like he's so disconnected from the actual game of Smash. He actually feels like he can sort of just belong there, and you don't have to worry about the combos too much, and they don't affect all that much until you get your 100% and you get your KO. Your KO meter moves are ridiculously powerful, and they do require combo inputs to pull off, which make them feel satisfying. They're not a requirement in order to sort of just pull off, like, say, like you got Shin Hadoken on Ken Ryu, which, you know, they are objectively better, but they aren't objectively the same move as the regular Hadouken, so they don't feel that important to pull off if they're just going to be that much harder and they're only going to do a bit more, as opposed to Terry's inputs, where they're actually not that much different. You can do the inputs, but the power, I believe, is not any different from their regular like input of B and direction. But the KO moves, they're ultra powerful, require inputs and good execution to pull them off, and you get rewarded as a result in such an intense way that it makes you feel like heaps better about it. So Terry, that with his little English idealisms, like, come on, and are you okay? And stuff like that. Like, I just love everything about the character. I think he's great. And like reading back into the background lore and stuff like that, it actually makes me want to get invested and check out the Fatal Fury games throughout the time, simply through the one character. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Is one of the Sakurai Presents I found super interesting because he just went.
He's so invested in it.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, here's a super detailed breakdown of the Neo Geo, the Fatal Fury franchise, why it's so important to just fighting games in general. He really explained it to people because he's like, him and the team are pretty well aware that, you know, a lot of people aren't going to know this. So let's lay it out and give like a little bit of like a documentary almost of being like,
yeah,
this is why this character and this franchise are important,
Mm-hmm.
why I wanted it included in this game, and why you should care about it, which is really great. What I really liked about sort of this inclusion as well is the stage you got with it. How it wasn't just like knock them off the edge. You actually had to like
break them through the wall.
Yeah, had to like break them through the wall.
Cool.
And it was really fun because like I feel like in these games the custom stage editor isn't where I want it to be.
No, yeah.
Whereas in past games it was, I feel like. But you know, this sort of adds that bit of fun you would expect from like, you know, just making a box and trying to smash yourself out of like one hole at the top. Which you would used to do. It's sort of like similar to that, where it's just like you get a good smash. But
God,
it's
those were the days.
and like, you know, the gameplay slows down. It's like, oh, it wasn't quite hard enough to get through the wall. But when it just goes through the wall, it's boosh when you're out. It's like, it's so just if I could hold on that one extra bit, it's just a really special stage, which you know, we don't play on anywhere near enough because we're always playing Final Destination. And the last character for the first season pass, the first Fighters Pass, was Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses. And you know, this character, a lot of people poo-poo it because it's another Fire Emblem character, it's boring. And you know what? It kind of is from like that perspective. It's no Joker from Persona 5. It's no like, you know, Crash Bandicoot, what people were like itching for, because you know, we don't want fucking Crash Bandicoot anyway, guys, let's be honest here. But Byleth, I really loved using Byleth. I love how they use like each direction was a certain weapon throughout the games as well. And I love how in the trailer as well, when you know, they send Byleth out there. It's like you join Smash, so Byleth is out there just hitting with the sword, and he comes back being like, all injured. And you know, they play on the joke like, oh, you're just another sword fighter, you know. But we're going to change things up. So then that's when they get the weapons to actually use instead of just the sword. And they just do a play on of like the community being like, oh, another sword fighter. Yeah. Because there are a lot of sword fighters, but what kind of characters do people expect? So there's like,
you get a fist fighter or you get a weapon fighter.
Yeah, you got swords, you got fists. You're not going to have necessarily a projectiles only character. That'll be a bit strange. I know, like,
I don't know. Richter and Simon are almost that.
Yeah, true. They've got their whips is like pretty long range as well.
Yeah.
Bayonetta, I guess, with like the fists and that could be you got to have a bit of space between you for that.
Maybe.
But anyway, I like how they played on the community's sort of like disdain for another sword fighter, which was really funny. That was actually like a laugh out loud moment.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
And besides that, I enjoyed the character, so who gives a shit?
Yeah. Because like, yeah, we said this before. Fire Emblem Three Houses, it needs representation in the Smash on Switch because that is,
It is a game on Switch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So we're starting on the second pack. We got Min Min from ARMS. I was happy to see ARMS represent.
I was happy to see
representated.
Min Min be the pick too. Like the thing is like with this one, it was like with ARMS, it was like a lot of people were like, oh, Springman, but when they talked about it, when Sakurai talked about it to, I can't remember what the developers, the dev head's name is. I can't remember. But he basically said, so what character can we have for ARMS? Who do you consider the main character? And he's just like, I consider everybody the main character. So, Sakurai was just free to pick whatever fucking character he wanted from ARMS, and he picked Min Min. And Min Min was my personal favorite. So I loved it. We're watching these trailers back as we talk about them, and there was like a really goofy little style for this as well. Where they did a really unique animated trailer where it goes through all the ARMS characters and
fighting over the invitation to get into Smash.
Yeah, that's right. And then it just it gets snapped up by Min Min somehow throughout the course of it. I can't remember exactly how, but we'll find out in a second.
She just goes in and grabs it and then just smashes like the other two characters out of the arena, and everyone cheers, and she's in Smash.
Yeah, and then Captain Falcon's also eating ramen with Kirby, which is also fun. It's great.
So like I haven't really played much Min Min since, to be honest, but she was a fun character because like you can like change up the weapons on each arm. You can like roughly control the trajectory as well.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah, I think having an ARMS character is really cool because they announced that like the first character in the DLC pass was going to be a character from ARMS. There was a big sort of space between that amount of time. Like we're like, oh, who's it going to be? So it wasn't like, oh, look, ARMS is here, because we knew it was going to be ARMS for like a month or so before we actually got the character.
Right. Yeah. It's just interesting in the prospect that I like they kind of treated it as if like, oh, ARMS characters play really different from each other.
yeah, they do. Like Min Min was one of the more like sort of special characters in this game, just with how like her projectiles work, like having that dragon arm as well, and how it does like a blast at the end when it opens and stuff like that. Yeah. You've got a real heavy ball as well. So, yeah. Next up, we have Steve from Minecraft. This was a big one. Another Microsoft technically character introduced in the game. Plays very, very different to a lot of the other characters. Even to the point where Sakurai said, like, you know, when we introduced this character, we had to like go back to all the stages and sort of redesign them to work with like the cube by cube sort of aspect of this character.
It's crazy how that is.
Like it's all these characters. It's crazy like how much work goes into it, because it's not just been like, all right, so you know, you make it down B, up B, you know, just do the moves, do the model, and that's it. Like Kirby needs to have a brand new ability, you know, the brand new stages, and just like with this character in particular, it's just like the amount of work was insane.
Yes,
The programming, even just being like, all right, this is like a more metal looking surface. So when you're sort of when you're looking for metals and like stuff to actually make your attacks, this is metal, this is wood, this is whatever. In Final Destination, it's just like it cycles through all of them. So it's just like, man. And like personally for me, I played random the other day on stream, and I got Steve, and I'm like, fuck, I cannot remember how to use Steve at all. And I was
Steve is likely a character I'll never touch.
Very, very different. He's very unique.
Technical too. Like very technical to play.
You're like all these characters, they kept on surprising me, just being like how much work went into each of them and how different they were, because Steve could have very well just been basic as anything. But they even like included like his crafting table, like everything was there, but you wouldn't even think of. But just like that's what makes like these games super special compared to other, you know, even fighting games. Or that's why like, you know, Nickelodeon All Stars, they're not going to put that much effort into like SpongeBob. It's just going to punch and kick, and that's going to be about it.
It's just going to be SpongeBob, bro.
He's not going to be a mechanic where he fills up with water and becomes more heavy. And,
Yeah.
he's not being able to knocked off as easy, but his attacks are slower. That's what Sakurai would do. It's like, oh no, he got wet, so he's just slow as anything, but he's just dense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Dense Bob. And next up we have Sephiroth, the villain from Final Fantasy VII. So this was pretty crazy getting another Final Fantasy representative.
This was crazy. Yeah. It's under the same prospect of I guess like Ryu and Ken in some ways, or King K. Rool sort of being introduced or whatever. They kind of just like, we have a really big character here in terms of name, but arguably the villain is also just as big in name, or the rival is just as big in name. So they were like, all right, we better put Sephiroth. And I'm glad they did. Sephiroth is like,
it's fun.
But he not only that, but he's like a quintessential JRPG villain.
True, which they don't have.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't really have a big old JRPG villain that sort of fits the same level as what Sephiroth does. Is a huge important figure in gaming history, and like a lot of the FMV cutscenes that came out of Final Fantasy VII to this day are very, very famous and notable points in gaming history, and a lot of them involve him. So it is like, he represents an era of like not only just Final Fantasy, but I guess gaming as well.
Yeah, true.
Much as like what Cloud does. So it is good to see them both here. They definitely sort of set high standards for like the PlayStation 1 that see it as one of the most highly regarded consoles of all time up until this point. So, and Sephiroth and Cloud, they have a big part to play in that, and their relationship, they can never go without one another. They are in any game they're present in, whether it be Kingdom Hearts or Smash or their own game or their spin-offs. Like Sephiroth is always present whenever Cloud is around. There is no ifs and or buts.
Yeah, and like I think that's what Ultimate did really well, is just bringing the villains into the picture as well. Because we had like a bit of a lack of villains, but then you include Ridley, you include Sephiroth, you include K. Rool. Like it was starting to look a bit more of a complete roster on the villain side of things.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is fun because you want to play as the villains, and obviously you don't get the opportunity in their own games.
No, you don't. Yeah,
you play as Dark Pit, the most villainous villain of them all.
Oh no, he's dark. Oh dear.
Or you play as Link. So, I'm Dark Link, Dark Pit. Evil man. Next up, we had Pyra/Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah, we did.
These characters were a lot of fun, being the two characters in one, being able to switch between a light character and a heavier character.
I like that the only thing that really changed about them was the speed of their moves and the B moves. And I like that, switching was... It sort of brought back switching in a way that didn't feel too jarring like it did with like Zelda and Sheik back in the day and sort of stuff like that. I just need the characters to sort of feel the same and have like relatively similar move sets up until the point where their basic controls are similar. Pyra and Mithra were big because a lot of, especially from me, there was a lot of outcry too, where I was sort of like, we need another Xenoblade Rope and Smash. It is just what it is that needs to happen. I'm like, obviously Rex is the next best choice, or Elma from X. I'm like, that there's got to be a way. And then they're like, Rex costume, like, fuck, well, that's sealed the fate there. The only thing we can hope for is Elma. That wasn't happening. And then eventually, come to Pyra Mithra, which I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so that really fits sort of every bill there, to be honest with you. I'm happy with that.
I really enjoyed using them too.
Yep.
And because like what you said about the switching characters, like, back on Brawl and Melee and that, like, there was no reason, like, apart from just like, obviously like Zelda and Sheik, they're the same character, obviously, and that's a reason to swap between them. But in actual gameplay in Smash Bros, there's no reason to swap between them. You're not going to change necessarily from Sheik to Zelda to finish, like, with a more heavy move necessarily.
No.
But with these characters, it's a part of the gameplay design, like, like you would think Xenoblade, like you bring back Pyra, you send up Mithra or the other way around. Yeah, the other way around to like do the more heavy attack.
Mithra for the heavy attack, Mithra for the light attack, Pyra for the heavy attack.
Yeah. Next up, we have Kazuya from Tekken, which is another big fighting game franchise
really big,
that was needed to be included in Smash, I feel.
Yeah.
And I think Kazuya, I haven't really played much of him for a while, but playing as him when the game first came out, I really, really liked him. He was a lot of fun to play as. Like the combos and the way you're able to pull them off was really quite excellent.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think he feels heavy too, and because the camera does a lot of nice work to make it feel like Tekken when you're playing him.
Yeah,
I think that makes him like stupidly unique in that sense. Tekken is something that I played a lot as a kid, whether it be like on people's like friends' PlayStations and stuff, because I never really owned anything till PS2. I borrowed a PlayStation 1, played a lot of PlayStation 1 there, but Tekken is huge in terms of like fighting game status. So having a representative from Tekken here seems like an absolute no-brainer, and Kazuya was a really good pick. It's crazy how powerful he feels when you're just playing him, let alone when you feel like when you're getting beaten up by him in Smash.
Yep,
it's very threatening.
Sure is. I've been on the other side of Kazuya, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Tekken for me was like going over to a friend's place. Never played the game in my life. He's obviously played a fair bit of it because he's got the game. It's at his house. Just get my ass whooped. I'm like, that was a cool game.
Tekken.
That's what a lot of these fighting games were. And that brings us to the end. We got Sora next week on the 18th. So we'll finish the conclusion, the trilogy for all the introduced characters in Smash Ultimate when we get the chance. But I think Sora is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully he's light enough that we can kill him easy enough because his recovery looks insane.
I think he is. He's lighter than Isabelle.
Yeah.
So he's actually very light, but his recovery is quite insane. He does play exactly like I'd imagine him to, though. You can't have Sora not floaty. It doesn't make sense.
Of course not. If he just went doof,
yeah,
it's like what?
It doesn't make sense. Like in Kingdom Hearts, that's what he is. As soon as you press the X button, you realize that Sora is floaty.
Yeah.
So he looks like he's going to play really well. I'm very keen for it. I'm very much an aerial guy. I like doing aerial things.
Yeah,
definitely got my interest.
Yeah, same here. And it actually made me interested in trying out the Kingdom Hearts games. And just quickly before we start wrapping things up, they actually did announce that they were bringing Kingdom Hearts games to Switch, but they're all cloud versions. I didn't even bother putting it in the news. It was just that big a disappointment.
Yeah, it was fucking that disappointing. Just don't even bother.
Because I was like, I would love to play like the first two collections on Switch. Perfect place to play them.
Yeah. Because you don't really need to play them on the TV.
Yeah, they're PlayStation 2 games. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Give us the port from the PlayStation 3 version of the game.
Here is cloud version. Enjoy.
And we can't even attempt to buy the cloud version in Australia.
No.
So, regardless of us not being that bigger fans of having the only option be cloud.
No, well, we've
got no option.
You just have to play Melody and Memory.
Yeah, well, I'll just have to.
It's a rhythm game. You like it at least.
Yeah, it's probably what I should quite like it. It's just it's really expensive and it never goes on sale. So
yeah, that's the problem. Is like I'm not really willing to put like. I'm excited for Sora to be there, and I have a lot of good memories with Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts still is like one of my favorite video game series of all time. But 3 hurt me. 3 hurt me to the point where I'm not even gonna bother picking up Melody and Memory.
I understand that type of hurt.
Do you though?
I don't know.
Have you had a connection for a series for well over 20 years? For 20 years. Only to be disappointed by its conclusion.
Yeah, I really didn't like in Mario Odyssey, where actually I fucking love the ending of that game.
Yeah,
just trying to make up some shit, but you shouldn't pick Mario. That's a bad place to start as far as bad things because it's very good. The ending of Mario Odyssey made me go, "Holy shit!" and I cried. So maybe not that. Yeah, but anyway, what we said, a question we asked ourselves earlier is like Sakurai said. Never ask me for anything again. I'm going to make the ultimate Smash game. I'm going to give you everything you fucking want. Shut the hell up. I'm going on holiday or I'm making a game. I'm making something else, for goodness sakes. Did he achieve that with these characters?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he did too.
Not only did he bring back the whole roster, but he also added in a bunch of cool things that people really wanted to base game. And then, going into that, and he also, like, everything falls back to the poll. Everything falls back to that one stupid fucking poll we did like a decade ago.
Almost, actually. Yeah.
Seriously. And he did everything in it. It's like, we're not going to reveal the results and we're just going to fucking do things. And then, like, you know, it happened. That's what they did. He just absolutely crashed through it and used every single bit of data from that poll to finally generate what would be the perfect Smash Brothers game in terms of casting, which he did, I think, without Gino, but you know,
Gave us Sora. It's like, but where's Gino?
there's definitely people that are saying that.
I know.
You know,
I know. Sorry, guys. It's just you can't get everyone. Even though we've got everyone, we can't get everyone.
We've got heaps. There's like so much. There's so much diversity. There's so much like craziness to Ultimate that it's almost hard to believe that all these characters exist in one game that's not just like a flash game on Newgrounds or some shit.
Just like the amount of detail in every single one as well. So you haven't just got them; you've got a really detailed, varied version of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Like with Sora, it's not just like Sora floating around hitting with his Keyblade. It's, you know, he's got like the 3 different spells. He's got like the different combos and that he can take on. Like he's got a fair bit to him as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That brings us to the end, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. And if you would like to let us know who your favorite Super Smash Brothers Ultimate character is, you can always join our Discord community. There's an invite in the show notes below. And you can, you can do lots of things. You can leave us an Apple Podcast review. That helps us out.
Just do it.
What else can they do, Bryce? What would you like the listeners to do after listening to us for 2 hours? Just turn off your phone and
don't hate
talk
us.
to your family. It's been a while. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, guys. Thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 209. Very much appreciate it. We love putting this show together, and we'll talk to you next week all about Metroid Prime Dread again. Metroid Prime Dread. I've lost
Metroid Prime Dread and Smash.
I've lost it. Anyway, guys, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. We'll catch you later.
You just listened to the House of Mario, a South Australian Nintendo podcast. Be sure to follow the boys on Twitter, leave an Apple Podcasts review, and join the Discord server to be a part of the community. A big thank you to these legends who support the show on Patreon at the producer level: Alex Harding, Sam Hay, and DJ. If you would also like your name in the credits, head over to patreon.com/iDrewby and choose the tier that works for you. Until next time, we hope your day is 120 Power Star rated.
I'm a tiger.